Hey, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Raad Life. The thing that you've heard me say already about the coronavirus and what's going on with things is that usually we are so busy in life. We are so distracted by so many different things that ask for our demand for our time, our attention, that we rarely have an opportunity to maybe listen to our inner voice. We have a moment to ourselves where we can do some self-reflection. And I've been saying that, maybe one positive way to look at what's going on right now is that we've all been kind of gifted the gift of time. To give you an example of how valuable that was in the midst of the craziness pre-coronavirus, is there were some spas that were actually selling silence. Okay, that's how busy and noisy our lives had gotten, and so we don't usually have an opportunity to rebalance, to recenter, to get in touch with, again, like I said, that inner voice. And right now we may have an opportunity to do that. And to exemplify that, I really wanted to bring on a person that I've known for a long time. I've known her since we were in college together. And my friend Martina Kwan, who has basically been very much on her own journey of self-reflection, reimagining what her life is like. And she has put a lot of action towards that. And it's really wonderful to watch her evolve and get in touch with that person that I knew back in college, but also even go beyond that. So with that being said, I'm going to bring her on right now. It's an amazing lady, and I'm going to let her tell her own story because I do not think I could do it justice. Hold on. Martina, are you there?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
So I said before I brought you on that, I've known you for a very long time, and it's really great and I wanted to bring you on because I wanted you to share your own story, which I didn't even say anything because I said I can't do it justice. She has to do it herself, right? But I said that we are usually really hard pressed to find time for ourselves. There's so much noise and distractions and so much busyness, and especially like in your case, successful, accomplished businesswoman, so many things draw on our time and demand our attention, kids, what have you. And so right now, we are maybe being offered a gift in the middle of all this chaos and fear, whatever, if we choose to look at it that way, to actually have time to ourselves, to find that inner voice, reconnect with it. That it's actually maybe a positive that's unexpected that's coming out of this. And so with that being said, for those who don't know you, which if you don't know Martina, what rock have you been living under in the last, couple of years? But you have been very much on that journey from what I know and what I've seen, right? And so why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself, give a little background, and then let's take that journey. Take us on that journey.
Okay. I'm Martina Kwan. I was born in Hong Kong to a German mom and Chinese father. And we moved around a lot to Europe, the Middle East, and I finally moved to the States to study. And my career path was really accounting at first and finance. So I studied for a Master of Science in Accounting, started at KPMG in New York City, worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers as well, and Lehman Brothers before becoming controller of Ian Traeger Hotels. But really my passion in life has been to be an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So I had started two different businesses. We met again after College of Switzerland at Neoterk Luxury in Vegas, right at the HD Expo show.
Right.
So entrepreneurship has really been my passion for most of my life until 3.5 years ago when I decided to change completely. And I was on my way to Dubai for the hotel show, and I arrived and none of the containers had been opened. Nothing was ready for me to set up, and I decided to do something that I really loved to do as a child, especially in Bahrain, riding an Arabian horse in the Arabian desert. So that's what I ended up doing. I took a taxi 1.5 hours to the Sharjah Dubai border, got on a horse, and it was a beautiful sunset moment with the full moon rising behind me. And for years I had realized that I had lost myself. As a mother, I was approaching 50, or at the time I was riding the horse, I was 50. But really, the years from 2011 to 16, I I felt like, who was I? I lost who Martina was.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of women and men go through this in their middle age. And it's sort of like, after college, you focus on your career,
Yeah.
having a family, children, building businesses, and you sort of have no time to do what you used to do as hobbies, or you can't even remember what you enjoy doing. So
Right.
at the end of 2016, riding that horse in the Arabian desert, really, that was one of my most profound epiphany moments. And I finally remembered who I was. And I decided to name my Porsche 911 Fire Horse. And I decided to become a race car driver. So that's what I did. In the next few years, I exited my company, Neotech Luxury, and focused on becoming a 3-time champion race car driver. So that really has been my mission, my passion, and has really consumed all of my time over the last 3.5 years. And last year, I was actually approached to drive semi-professionally in the Celine S1, which was really, quite frankly, a shock to me because, at that time I was already 53, and I was really humbled to be given that opportunity. And uh, a lot of things surrounding getting prepared for the car uh, really changed my life. So it was sort of an all-consuming year last year with both the Porsche 911 and the Celine, but an incredible one. So I feel like it's been great embarking on this journey, and I've hoped to inspire especially women and girls that anything is possible at any age.
Well, and I think knowing you don't do anything halfway. So
Right.
so I mean, anybody who just listened to that description, first of all, how much she was able to put in such a short period of time to begin with, right? But the list of accomplishments is obvious and evident. I mean, you don't get to accomplish these things by not being really fully immersed and engaged. And to your point, if we are that kind of a personality, we tend to do sort of the next thing we're expected to do. We go to college, we get the degree, then if you went to the right college, you got the right internship, then you're going to work at the right firm. You really
Yeah.
commit. And back in the day, your time at the firm, there was a sense of loyalty both ways, so it paid off. So then you basically grew within that firm. Next thing you know, you're now at a higher position. Maybe you move to another competing firm at a higher position. So all these like sort of milestones that if you play the game by these rules, if you do these next steps, then you're securing a life for yourself that is supposed to guarantee you certain stability, happiness, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well,
Mhm.
there's some truth to why the formula works, because there's sort of a generic approach to it succeeding. The likelihood, that the odds, if you will, on it succeeding to some degree or the other are there. So I'm not knocking that, right? However, anybody who's gone down that path and somehow life has thrown them for a loop, or something hit, not to use a driving, but somebody either just came out of nowhere and basically took the lead, or you get side blinded by something, or a shiny object or flash or something. Like, these things happen, and if you happen to go through that and you happen to come out of the other side of it, sometimes it gives you an opportunity to see the fact that, yeah, that's a great path. But in the course of taking that path, I've also sort of sacrificed my own unique journey in the process, and add kids to it, responsibilities as a parent, providing all of that, food, shelter, and next thing you know, you look in the mirror and you're like, who am I? I have no idea. I can't remember who this person is. Like, I know what this person looks like, but what is this all about? So what happened, if you don't mind, because I've always been curious, like, okay, you were faced a crisis, and anybody who knows how to, what goes into setting up those exhibitions, right, realizes just how much work and how much stress and how much tension, and it's all really on a very quick time turnaround. And then after that's all said and done, we got to basically go wash our faces and put on a face, right, and basically do that for about 4 or 5 days, right? Shaking her head. She's been through this multiple times. We have a shared experience. So here you are. You land in Dubai, out of all places. All these containers, nothing's been set up, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna go do something, because otherwise, I need to go find a desert to scream in, basically, maybe on the back of a horse. So what happened on that ride, Martina? What was it that triggered? Was it just the alignment of everything? Like, was it that having that space to yourself, the quietness? What was it, do you think, that just kind of was instrumental?
Well, I think, obviously the process started earlier. I
Right.
had moved in 2013 from Miami Beach to LA, and it was such a great place to drive the Porsche 911. And I started, occasionally going to the racetrack, and driving up towards the racetrack, Willow Springs, to the desert, again reminded me of Bahrain.
Yeah.
And I have a special affinity towards the desert. It just, something about it speaks to my soul. So anytime I've flown, let's say over Arizona or the Sahara Desert, or, any desert, it kind of just speaks to me. So I think the process started there, and taking those drives alone to the racetrack was like, wow, this is my time. I can listen to loud house music, in the car, and just have a great time. And, obviously it's a competitive sport, and I did see that I had a little bit of talent, I would say.
You competitive? I'm shocked. I am so shocked.
Well, that is definitely something that I am in anything I do,
You
right?
are, yes.
If it's studying, or, any of my jobs, it's like, got to be the best, got to have the best performance review, you know, the best business, the number one, this,
Where,
that, and
where,
the
where,
other.
where, where do you think that comes from? Is it an
Mm.
upraise, like a raising thing? Is it parents? Is it, because I know your siblings are also very competitive. I mean, you guys actually have an affinity for a particular car manufacturer across the family, I think, right? I mean, it's like multi
Yeah,
generations or multi siblings. I expect you guys to be on like a reality show of something sponsored by Porsche any minute right now. It's like,
that's funny. Um, Well, being part Chinese and part German, two cultures that really value achievement,
right.
especially the Chinese one, there's a very high expectation. Um, not as high as some other cultures. I mean, I had some Korean friends at my international school in Hamburg, and they had no toys. All they had were encyclopedias that they
Yep.
had to read. So, you know, different levels of
It's
extremes,
relevant.
but
Yeah, it's relevant. Yeah.
especially my father was super successful, extremely intelligent, and very focused on work and
Hmm.
success. So, yeah, the expectations were high. So, part of the reason I went into accounting is because that's what he did. He owned the largest accounting firm in Hong Kong, and then sold it to Deloitte Touche.
Hmm.
So, I worked for KPMG and Price Waterhouse, which made him very happy. When I went to Lehman Brothers on Wall Street, not so much. He preferred the big four. So
You were
yeah,
you were
no,
you were slipping when you went to Lehman. Yeah, you were
that's
slipping.
right. It's like, oh,
Um, so Martina, let me ask you this, and if I'm trying to personally, give me some rope, because we've known each other long enough, right? But what do you think part of your focus on what it was that you were involved in that may have caused you to lose who you are, regardless of where you come from, what your bloodline is, all these things? Do you think, because these, the intentions are really good with parents and people, like, this is what you should do. We expect, we want you to succeed. The expectations, as we basically see them from their perspective, is they're just trying to push us to better ensure our safety, security, ability to quality of life, all this stuff. But do you think that in the course of that, maybe that was part of also getting off the track that is Martina? Like, what makes you happy? What makes you feel a sense of personal accomplishment versus based on somebody else's benchmarks of what accomplishment is?
Definitely. I mean, I started my career in New York City, and so it's a city that never sleeps truly.
Right.
So I remember working happily 80-hour weeks. And it was, my whole drive and focus, when I was director of accounting for the Paramount Hotel, for the Hudson Hotel, I mean, 80 hours a week. And I really enjoyed it. But yeah, your own desire and need for perfectionism and getting things right, it really kind of can get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely takes a toll on, yourself, your own time, and then add to that family and
Right.
all these other factors, then you really don't have time for yourself.
I mean,
So when I
you almost have to be a little selfish, right? Like you almost have to accept that it's healthy to be a little selfish. And, it's not unusual for people to maybe never realize that, or realize it, later in life, or some sort of change in their life, milestone in their life, be it, that they turn a certain age, be it that, they basically maybe, a marriage ends, or, something catastrophic or something really jarring like coronavirus, basically causes them to stop and think, where the element of I do not have control starts to sneak in. Like, as much as I think I had control over all this stuff, I'm working the 80 hours, cause and result. I put in this, I get that. All of a sudden, all of that doesn't really matter because something happened that just completely derailed that whole system. And so, and again, thanks for letting me go there, because I think that's also part of the message. Like, we hear a lot of people talking about, here's my benchmark and I achieved this and I achieved that, and I self-actualize and stuff like that. But I think one of the things we need to realize, and there's no animosity or anger towards parents or anything like that. But I think sometimes we forget that in an attempt to appease, to get acceptance, to find validation, we do sacrifice who we really are.
Yeah, you
I mean,
definitely.
guilty as charged, I'll tell you. So I'm not picking on anybody.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what is next for you on this journey?
So I'm actually really excited about this period of time. I know it's a strange time and a lot of people are fearful, but I see it as a true moment of opportunity to move forward, for reflection, for incubation, for learning and advancement, So I'm actually now focused on two new ventures. So yeah, 3.5 years ago, the sitting on the horse was an epiphany moment where I became a race car driver, which is what I focused on to become a 3-time champion one. Now, a week ago, I had another epiphany.
Okay.
So I've obviously continued to drive my race car, which, as most people could tell, is one of the most important things in my life, or has been in the last 3.5 years. But at the same time, I'm in the process of starting two businesses,
Okay.
which I'll tell you about after the epiphany moment.
Okay.
The thing is, the epiphany moment happened a week ago. I woke up on Saturday morning and I said to myself, I could continue driving my race car, but number one, it's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, it doesn't serve the purpose of the two new ventures that I'm doing now.
Okay.
And I think in order to be successful in any venture, you have to focus. You have to give it your all. That's what I did with my other two businesses.
Mm-hmm.
You give it your all. You give your jobs your all. You give the new ventures. I want to give them my all. And I know they're going to be successful. And that's why then I can say, you know what, I'm going to be the champion in my two new businesses, because I know I'm going to put in the effort. So right now is an incredible time. It's so quiet out. It feels like a Sunday every day. And so that gives my mind the peace to, I'm working on the programs for both of my businesses right now, and I'm really focused and I'm spending many hours a day doing so. So yeah, so a week ago, lying in bed, waking up on a Saturday morning, I said, this is not the time to waste time, Martina. You need to start focusing and you have to eliminate. So the decision was, I'm going to eliminate race car driving until I make a certain amount per month. That is my goal, which is until I make 20,000 a month, say. Then, okay, maybe I can go race car driving again. But right now, I'm going to focus on the two new businesses.
Mm-hmm. Well, Martina, I'll tell you something. One part of the thing, I mean, I've been watching you go through this. I mean, I remember when you were in Dubai. I don't know that you posted about the horse journey, the horse, or the journey of the riding a horse in the desert. I think what came later. I think you shared that later because I think you kept that a little bit to yourself at the beginning. But I remember when you went to that conference, and I remember the racing and how that came out. Part of the thing I always saw, and maybe because I know you long enough to see this as a journey, not necessarily a destination that you were at. I always saw the car as a vehicle, really, on that journey. It wasn't sort of the destination, was not the car. Anybody who's ever driven a Porsche, I mean, there is no substitute. There's a reason why they say there is no substitute. But okay, but I mean, I miss my 935 slant nose in 1985 with a big whale tail, like I can't tell you, right? But in Kuwait, but it was always a vehicle. It was always a vehicle on your journey. It was more of the journey that I was watching than the actual driving. And the achievements and the accomplishments and the awards and being asked to drive for a semi-professionally, those were, again, just kind of milestones along the journey. But I'm not surprised to hear you say that. I also know you well enough to say, okay, well, I'm going to kind of reward myself by having that be something I do if I achieve a certain financial goal, and I look forward to, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what kind of gave it away was also that, what was the license plate, or what is the license plate on your car?
Fire horse.
Fire horse, right? Exactly. So I'm just gonna flash this on the screen behind me. So we went from this to this. Two things to watch out for. She definitely has an affinity for dark colors and looks good in them. And the fact that it's, in both cases, there's an emphasis on the horse and the horsepower, right? So I think it was always, whether it was the horse or the Porsche, it was always a vehicle along the journey. So now, if you're ready to share, what are the vehicles along the journey for the next part of this journey with Martina?
Well, the first one definitely includes Porsches and other supercars. So,
Okay.
Number one, one of the greatest things that has happened in the last few years is I found the love of my life. And Dwayne DeMent has been my race coach for the past few years. He helped me achieve what I did. And we have such an incredible relationship. We love horses as well. So they're, one of, I think, the defining things of the relationship is that we have shared interests and we think alike. We're both achievers, we're both successful individuals, and I love the logic in his brain. So I can really relate to that. And so the new venture that I'm starting with him is that we're co-founding a new racing school and performance driving academy at Willow Springs here in Rosamond, California.
Wonderful.
And this is going to happen in the next few months. And part of it is going to be the racing school, performance driving academy for any makes and models, not just Porsches, private coaching, but also teen car control clinics, which is something that is personal to me because I have teenage girls.
Yeah.
And it's a driving city here in LA and Orange County and Southern California. So this summer, after things open up, we'll have teen car control clinics. So I'm really very excited about this new venture. And so that's number one, involving a lot of horsepower and horses.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And then number two is my own business, which I am now a transformational coach. And it's going to be for women over 40 who are tired of working for other people and want to become an unstoppable entrepreneur. So I've been developing now in this time, really furiously every day, developing this program that I'm going to offer in a group coaching session starting in June. So I'm really very excited for these opportunities. And, you know, one thing last year, I like to do vision boards, by the way.
Hmm.
So vision board 3.5, 4 years ago there was On It, female racer. Vision board last year was speaker. So I've been doing a lot of speaking engagements. Was the keynote speaker last month at a BLLA State
Yeah.
Boutique conference.
Yep.
Moderator at Women Empower X. I've been asked to speak on a panel at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, which will probably be postponed. So, I think if you visualize what you want to achieve, that's great. So a few weeks ago, which of course before I've already decided, but a few weeks ago, one of our quarantine activities with my kids was doing vision boards.
Hmm.
So on mine, it really surrounds coaching, having the racing school, but teaching, sharing, inspiring, what I've learned with other people. So that's the new goal, to become a champion in that.
Well, I think that's wonderful. I mean, it makes perfect logical sense to me. It makes perfect sense as an evolutionary step for you. And there's always been that side to you of basically like leaving an impact, a positive impact, like inspiring, whether it be leadership style or otherwise. So I'm not surprised that that would be the case. And yes, of course you're doing it. Of course you're, okay, here's a speaking engagement, or here's a moderating of a panel. And, those are steps that you do, to leverage what you already have in spades here. So I totally can see that. I don't know, 6 months before the first book. I mean, I'm guessing, it's not very far away for print and all this other stuff. And to be honest, I will share with you. You and I think probably know because of the hotel industry side. But there's a friend of mine that is in Turkey that actually established a few years ago. Belgin Aksoy, who basically will be on the show probably next week, she established Global Wellness Day, and it was just one day that could change your life, and it's every June. And her family owns a hotel in Turkey, and it has a spa, and she went through some medical issues and her own kind of like interruptive incidents in life journey. And within about less than a decade, this thing is in 32 countries. God knows
Wow.
how many ambassadors it has, right? It has never for a moment turned into a commercial endeavor, because she wanted to make sure that the message of wellness went across to anybody, regardless of socioeconomic. So, watching people that basically bring a passion and determination, and it's what I see in everything that you do. I totally get where you're going with this. So, and I can see it in your face that, I'm excited. This is the next kind of step. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, with having your girls around you, I mean, that you are doing maybe what you were exposed to growing up in terms of inspiration and showing the need to excel and achieve. But I will offer that maybe you're actually showing them that it can be done with something that is not necessarily purely rewarding financially, but it can also be rewarding in different ways.
Mhm. I
That-
think that's a very important ingredient, is because it shines through if somebody is just doing something for the money, right? So if somebody has the passion and the true desire, to help other people, it comes through. It's a warmer feeling than the former.
you're seeing it. I don't know if you've noticed it. I'm sure you have. It's really very much under the microscope right now. Like, you can see people in industry, our hotel industry, sort of colleagues and peers and stuff like that. You see people where in the same industry, you have people that are approaching things from a point of compassion and empathy, and and sort of seeding the ground now, not really so much focusing on the harvesting as we
Mhm.
normally in that mode, like certain monthly goals and certain minimums that, quotas that you have to do. Like right now, you're seeing the true behind certain people. It's kind of funny, like the people that are genuinely comfortable with continuing to sell you on the most expensive thing that you cannot, you don't need right now, right? I mean, and I'm not knocking it. It's just, it's fascinating. It's sides of people, sides to certain people that you don't necessarily get to see that we're seeing right now. And to your point, I think it has to be. For me, it has never been enough. Like I get probably as much joy in a different way and reward from volunteering. You know, when this thing happened, I pivoted because it was almost unconscionable for me to think that I'm going to put out an email blast telling people, hey, let me come redo your living room, or how about that room addition? You know, I know 16 million people lost their jobs and applying for unemployment, but you know, let's talk about that room addition right now, right?
Yeah.
I just felt like it would be not only a fraud, but like completely insensitive. So I pivoted to doing this show, which I've been doing for once a week for 5 years. I've been doing it where it's 1 or 2 episodes a day that we've been recording, and we've been dropping 1 episode a day. So again, you know, but like, why are you doing it, Raad? Well, there's a part of me that actually gets rewarded every day. Like having this conversation with you today. Okay, that is part of my reward on this particular day. I connected with another human being. We shared stories. We shored each other up. We inspired. We shared that out to a wider audience without any sense of, you know, expectations. We're just doing it because we feel like maybe one person out there may find something in it that will help them navigate these days that are very chaotic and the unknowing of, you know, when do I go back to quote unquote normal? There's no new normal. It's all going to be new normal. There's no going back to that old normal.
Yeah, I wanted to say as well that for a lot of people who have had a job, like your master barber, he's sort
Gorky.
of wondering whether it's still something that he wants to love to continue to do. So I think now is really an important time for a lot of people to look at yourselves, and it's a time of reflection and seeing if what you've been doing for most of your life is still going to be your passion going forward, because this time really has changed the world. And like you said, a lot of companies, it's a very fine line between selling and being compassionate. And while people are still entitled to make money, I think people are going to remember those companies that came across as compassionate and caring, and not just, oh, let's make a quick buck, you know? So it's an important time right now.
Yeah, it's you know, I thank you, my friend, for being on. I really do, because you really are a living example of you're never too old to not only achieve or reach out and say, I mean, I've been telling people, this is a time to say, why not?
Right.
Why not? Like, I mean, you might even try something today and tomorrow say, you know, I tried it, I'm done. I've tried something else. But we usually, in this day and age, in this society we live in, we are not afforded a lot of why nots. Like when you're a kid, when you're younger, when you don't have as much on your shoulders, being able to say, why not? Why not? I'll just go down that hill like to Lausanne. You know, why not? I'll go get that pizza at Mario's. You know, why not? I'll go to the milk bar. You know, why not? Why not is something that we stopped doing, and we start saying, but why? Like we almost argue ourselves out of it before we even like try it, right? And right now, it's a time to say, why not?
Why not?
Regardless of age, regardless of socioeconomic levels. I mean, honestly, I mean, I've seen people that, I mean, to do something like we're doing right now, okay, it requires a strategy, it requires a clear mind, requires, if you're planning to do it as a structured activity. But honestly, anybody can be very candid and open and vulnerable and just turn on their friggin' iPhone and basically just put it on a live feed. I mean, it right now is the time to say, why not? So I appreciate you being on and sharing your own personal journey of saying, why not? And I think your girls are very lucky. You girls are very lucky to have you, Martina. Seriously, I think that's a great example. And I'm really glad and happy to see you happy, my friend. I really am. I've known you long enough that I've seen you when you haven't been, and I appreciate that you're letting me in and I can get to see you this way. Anytime, anything that I could do, and you're saying why not, you just let me know.
Okay, and thank you so much.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Give Dwayne my best, and your girls, please be safe. I can't wait to see you back behind the wheel, regardless what the vehicle may be for the next part of the journey. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Martina. Take care. Bye bye.